I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he'll be saved. Hey, I'm Jason, pastor of Threshold Church. And in these days where we can't see each other face to face on Sunday mornings, it's kind of weird. But we're still climbing toward Easter. And so at Threshold, we have been celebrating this season of Lent by moving through the Gospel of John. The structure of John, 7 signs and 7 statements that Jesus makes, called his I am statements. He takes one of the names of God, I am, and he applies it to a word picture. And the way that John uses it in his gospel is he asks us, do we believe in Jesus as that picture? And if we believe it, do our lives look like that? So he asks if Jesus was the bread of life. He asked if Jesus was the light of the world. And today he asks us if Jesus is the door. And if so, do our lives look like we believe in him in such a way? The door that Jesus was talking about was not like the door that you saw at the top of the video. That's just a cool old door in one of the old Bethany schoolhouses up around where I live. The door that Jesus was describing was more like the doorway into a sheepfold. And so the way that ancient shepherds would take care of their sheep at night when they were out in the field, they would want to gather them close because this was the time when the predators would come, the thieves would come, a lot of bad stuff happened at night. So the shepherds would stack up many walls made of rocks, and they would have a little opening to the pen in which they would actually lay down to sleep. So in that way, the shepherd became the door for the sheep. Thieves and predators could not get in, and the sheep could not get out. So the shepherd became the door. He became the entry point into this flock. And that is what Jesus had in mind. This whole context of John 10, it's going to lead into him talking about himself as the door, but then as the good shepherd. So there's 2 I am statements that are in this one passage, and it's kind of a pastoral setting. It's the interface between sheep and a shepherd, a flock and their shepherd. Do we know him in that way? So let me read the whole passage here. John 10, verses 7 through 9. So Jesus again said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. So a couple things I'd like to show you in this passage. First of all, Jesus is the door to community. I want you to see that in that first part where he talks about, I am the door of the sheep, that sheep is in plural. It's not just about me and it's not just about you, it's about us, okay? This is talking about Jesus with his flock. So when we come through the door of Jesus, we enter a flock, we enter a community that he is building. It's about us, it's about his sheep all together. At the same time, Jesus is the door to care. And this is where it gets interesting. It's not about us, it's about the community. At the same time, that little doorway at night, shepherds would stand there and get their eyes on each sheep as it passed, sometimes even just underneath his legs. And he would be able to get his eyes on every sheep that was part of his flock. And the shepherd would be able to tell, are there burrs? Are there thorns? Are there injuries? Is there pregnancy? Is there illness? He would get his eyes on each sheep individually. I think this captures part of the heart of Jesus in a parable that he tells over in Luke chapter 15 about the shepherd, the one that loves his sheep. And he has a flock that is supposed to be 100 sheep. And at one point in time, he counts and there are 99. He leaves the 99 to go find the one. He goes to find the one lost sheep. So yes, we're part of the flock. It's not about us. At the same time, the shepherd has his eyes on us and he knows us. He knows when we're hurting. He knows when we're missing. And he comes after us. He loves us and it leads him to action on our behalf. So this is the place where we meet the door to care. It's where we're known and cared for. It's also the door to salvation. Notice that Jesus says, I am the door. He doesn't say, I am a door, one of many possible options. He says, I am the door. Christianity is an exclusive religion. There is only one way to God the Father, and that is through Jesus. This is one of those places where he basically says, I'm the gate. You either come through me to get to the Father, or you don't get to the Father. So, even though Christianity is exclusive, and it's hard for our culture to accept that and like it, even though it's an exclusive relationship, this invitation is wide open. Anyone can come to God through Jesus. Anyone. All it takes is believing in him. It's like John says later in his gospel, the whole purpose of why he wrote this gospel, John chapter 20, he says, these signs have been written so that you may believe Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and by believing in him, you may have eternal life in his name. That's why he wants us to read and understand and hear these images. He wants us to believe in Jesus, because when we believe in Jesus, we'll have eternal life. It's eternal life. It's a quality of life, but it's also talking about that life that will last forever, eternally. He wants us to know Jesus in that way. So the invitation is broad, even though Christianity is exclusive. The last thing I want to show you is that this is the doorway, or the door to safety. The last verse, I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, like I just said, and will go in and out and find pasture. At night, the door is there, protects us. During the day, the door opens up and we're free to roam and to do what sheep do, to graze and live and to run around and have fun. We're able to do that because we're safe. Our shepherd is watching over us. He's protecting us in the darkness, and he's watching over us in the light. The door is open. Come through. Come meet God through Jesus, for he is the door.